So Pat Dixon is our next presenter. He's fished as a Cook Inlet drift gill netter for 20 years. He realized he'd still be writing about these 20 years later. If he realized he'd be writing about those 20 years, all these years later, if he would have spent more time recording, the insane world of fishing. He remains alive today due mainly to his lovely wife, Veronica. Oh. Give it up for Pat Dixon. Here we go.
Oh my. This is a hard act to follow. I wish I had another version of me that was as half as witty as those guys, and then maybe I could have, no, never mind. I have no idea what I'm saying. I don't know. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on a stormy night, and are you guys having fun? Yeah. Isn't this grand? And the worst part of it all, there's only a couple hours left. That's awful. But there is a reading, a farewell reading tomorrow, and I think that's at 10 o'clock. Is that right? Yeah. And out on Pier 39. So check that out. You'll see a lot of us there. So I've got some material that's going to take me right up to my time limit. So I'm going to jump right in with this fishing gesture. I stand in the stern, holding buoy and lead line. My skipper's in the cabin on the radio. I can hear voices of other fishermen in our group, barking excited static from deck speakers. 3 in the air at once. Fish everywhere. Looked a little better south of me. I watched for jumpers and wonder at this fishing enterprise I'm engaged in so intimately. In minutes, hundreds of us will cast our nets into the skin of the planet, fishing a surface sliver of deeper water to catch salmon swimming there. In their frenzy to return to the river of their birth and spawn, schools of them have risen from the depths under us and seem to want to fly the rest of the way home. The boat idles in the choppy sea, drifting. I wait with building anxiety. What if they move past us? What if the tide takes us out of the school? What if another boat pulls in just south of us and corks us off? And I notice the boat closest to us. We're far enough apart to not be in each other's way when we set the gear, but I see my counterpart on the other boat, standing in the picking well like me, waiting, and my mind lifts, and I'm above the fleet, seeing deckhand after deckhand, each holding a buoy, waiting for the surge of the throttle, and the skipper shout, "Let her go!" And the boats lurch forward, and together we toss the moment into the air. Hundreds of bright orange buoys soar through morning light in fluid motion. Bound like salmon, jump to return to water, weightless, fishing air for the sea. The noise of engines recedes as the fishing gesture echoes its way into the past, connecting all these tossed nets to all other nets ever thrown into the ocean. We've done this before. Not always like this, but always like this, with an arc of net and line lacing its way through the sky, to the water, to the fish, to the planet. Thank you. But you have to pay your dues. This is called Never Cross the Lines. So, you want to be a deckhand on a Cook Inlet gill netter? Okay. This is what you'll do. Before the season starts, you'll drive to the cannery every day for 2 weeks, park your car in a cloud of dust or a muddy drizzle, and climb aboard the boat you're deckhanding on. Your skipper may or may not be there yet. The boat is in the yard, up on barrels, where it spent the winter. The ladder you will use to get on the boat may or may not be there either. You'll likely find it lashed to the cleat of another boat 20 yards away. This ladder will become an important element in your life for your first 2 weeks of fishing. You'll go up and down it at least a dozen times in the morning and twice that in the afternoon. You'll go down it to the carp shop for wood to patch a hole in the cabin door, for galvanized screws, or to borrow a coping saw from the boat next door. You'll go up it when you come back from the machine shop for engine oil, and you'll take the old oil back down in a 5-gallon bucket, trying not to spill it all over you. You'll chase the coolant, hydraulic fluid, transmission fluid, Bondo to patch fiberglass, splash zone to patch over snags under the boat that might catch the net, 5200 to stop leaks. You'll bring back zincs, bolts, nuts, washers, lock washers, cotter pins, fan belts, duct tape, black tape, plumber's tape, stainless baling wire, and more. You'll be sent back when the bolt is too short. You'll be sent back again when the bolt is too long. While you're doing all this, you'll be getting to know the carpenter, the port engineers, the beach gang, the machinists. There'll be at least one guy who will be outright unfriendly and mean. He'll be the one who will ignore you when you need something from him, and he'll ridicule your ignorance of the way things work. He'll send you back to the boat empty-handed, asking the skipper if he wants to borrow the left or the right-handed grease gun. You'll learn to hate going on errands where he works. You'll go down the ladder on your way to the company store for your deckhand's license, soda to bring back to the boat, and an ice cream sandwich on the single hot day without a cold wind that will have you remembering what summer used to be like. You'll go down the ladder to duct tape a hose to the seawater intake valve so the pump doesn't burn up while the skipper runs the engine. You'll go back up again because you can't hear what the skipper's yelling from the engine room, and then you'll hurry back down it again to turn the water off. You'll run to the port engineer's shop to get electrical fittings, solder, butt-end connectors, and silicone to seal them with to keep salt air from corroding the wires. You'll haul tools up the ladder from your skipper's truck, and sometimes carrying boxes in both hands as you climb, balancing on the rungs on the balls of your feet. You'll haul up sleeping bags, rain gear, boots, and electronics until your feet and legs ache. You'll memorize where the missing rung on the ladder is, and you'll vow to fix it when you get time. You'll never get time. You'll be sent to the skipper's locker in the old web loft to gather up buoys, survival suits, a worn block of paraffin wax, some black paint, and old brushes wrapped in aluminum foil. You'll wax the survival suit zippers with the paraffin. You'll paint the boat name and the license number on the buoys. You'll have to go to the carpenter shop to get paint thinner to clean the brushes, and then to the store again for more aluminum foil and another ice cream sandwich. You'll be sent to town for the stainless screws and clips the cannery doesn't stock. And while you're there, you'll be asked to pick up some beer, burgers and fries, maybe some pizza. When you come back, your skipper won't be nowhere to be found. He'll be BSing with another fisherman who just came in that afternoon. You'll be expected to find something to do anyway. Pick up the trash accumulating under the boat. Cleaning the cabin is always a good idea. Just don't put anything away, especially tools near an unfinished project. Just straighten. Clean the windows. Get some water in a bucket from a spigot nearby and wash the dishes piled in the sink since last season. Avoid the skipper's coffee cup, though. He's the only one who washes that thing, and he washed it years ago. If you clean it, you'll destroy the unique flavor. You'll learn to budget your errands so you're near the mess hall when the mug-up whistle blows. Homemade cinnamon rolls and muffins in the morning, pies and cake in the afternoon, and always fresh brewed coffee, hot chocolate, and juice for the kids. Mug-up is where you'll learn to keep your mouth shut and listen. Fishermen will talk about boats, their nets, who's working with whom, the upcoming season, the price of fish. You'll hear terms like stuffing box, grundens, Euroko, dog gear, binotics, and flying bridge. With any luck, you'll start putting them in context and figuring out what they mean. But everyone will agree, mug-up is always too short. You'll learn that fishing nets are called shackles, and in Cook Inlet, each boat fishes 3 of them, clipped and sometimes sewn together. You'll load them on 4-wheeled carts and pull them out of the warehouse, coiled in nylon or canvas net bags, where you'll heave them into your skipper's truck. You'll drive them to the back of the boat and open them one by one and clip the ends to a piece of line, not rope. Never rope on a boat. Line, and the line's coming off a reel. You'll stand in the truck and feed the net out of the bag and up over the stern of the boat and onto the reel. The reel is powered by a bit of magic called hydraulics, and while the boat is running, your skipper can make the reel turn by stepping on a treadle board near it. As the net comes on board, he will guide the web, the corks, and the heavy line, called a lead line, onto the reel in a neat package, taking care not to cross the lines. This is hugely important. Your skipper will likely impress upon you how important it is not to cross the lines. Remember this. You'll start to wish you had a truck. There'll be at least one guy, if you're lucky, who will take to you. He'll joke with you and tell you what a garboard plank or corking is. He'll tell you who to avoid and whom to seek out. He's always good for a cup of hot coffee and a rickety chair next to his wood stove on a wet, chilly spring day. And whenever you get the chance, take him a cinnamon roll if he's not at mug-up, or an extra burger and fries when you make that run to town. Better yet, show up in his shop before he closes the door at 5 o'clock with a bottle of Jack and to drink with him out of his dirty coffee mugs. By now, you've been fishing 2, maybe 3 weeks. Your skipper will keep talking about when we finally get wet. You haven't been paid a dime. Remember, you're paid by the percentage of fish you catch, and you haven't even seen a fish. You'll swear as you knock a Phillips screwdriver off the cabin roof to land on the gravel below while you put up an antenna in the cold drizzle. One more trip down that damned ladder and back up again. By the time the boat's launched, you'll hate that ladder. Welcome to fishing. Thank you. I want to introduce this very shortly, but I want to do a short introduction of it. It's already long now. I think this is probably one of the most important pieces I'm reading this weekend. I wrote it as part of a challenge from a Bristol Bay fisherman when I gave a reading up in Bellingham about a year ago, and he asked me if I'd had written a poem about the Pebble Mine. And I said, no, I haven't, but I think I probably should. And he said, well, you need to because you could send it to the Corps of Engineers. At that time, the Corps of Engineers was doing a survey. Now they're asking for public comment on their report, and their report has a lot of red flags in it, and we're still fighting that battle. And I'm going to send this to them. I did, and I'm going to do it again. Choices. This has an epigraph. We have to win every time. They only have to win once. That was a quote from John Broderick. This is in 3 parts. Choices. We make our choices. The Grand Coulee, built for irrigation of drought-burdened farmland, killed the salmon running the Columbia. June hogs, 100-pound plus Chinook salmon, swam for centuries, fed the first peoples, created culture and religion, gone. Spawning grounds locked forever behind concrete. Dams killed sockeye, coho, humpback, and Chinook throughout Washington. Salmon fishing now, a ghost of what it was. Phantom fish don't need to spawn. Each dam was a choice. Migration Be a fish. Wander seas. Tour a blue planet until chemicals mix, produce hormones, influence instinct. A clock ticks, and tides send you home. Belly fattens and swells as you ride currents back the way you came years ago, over canyons, mountains, around islands, through valleys. Millions swim with you, ahead, beside, beneath, above, behind, until, what is it, a scent reaches out from the river you knew, grasps you by the part that remembers, and pulls, quickens the pace, tightens the urge, and you all arrive together, frenzied, leap up a stream to lay, fertilize, and die. Only the river is gone. Instead, toxic waste oozes from a hole where your birthplace used to be. You didn't know your corpse is the last, your species added to the litany of all those gone before. We knew each decision was a choice. Mine, not yours. This is about greed. A copper mine at the headwaters of the last epic salmon run in the world. A copper mine with an earthen dam holding a poisoned lake in a geologically active environment. What could go wrong? Ask the fish. Ask Fraser River salmon caught in the toxic slurry that rolled down their watershed when a copper mine tailing dam failed and flooded their spawning grounds. Each mine is a choice. Thank you.